Okay? You got it? You look really good.
Thank you.
Does my do-rag look fine? When I pull
Of course.
Okay, is it pulled? Should I pull it down somewhere?
I don't know about do-rags.
Sit.
I know it looks good. I know if it looks bad, and I know it looks good. I don't know where it's supposed to go.
Okay, so I got some housekeeping stuff to go through.
Okay.
And I think that the girls are outside. I don't know if we can see how many people are there, but hopefully they're out. We got these presets. Let's go to preset 1 because I'm going to give you some applause.
So where is this live streaming to again?
This is live streaming to an alley by Charm School Ice Cream on Broad Street.
Yes. Okay.
So hopefully the girls, are there. Oh, do you have a drink?
I don't.
Ooh. You want some red wine?
I do.
Is
and
that, what's that?
This is in my glass.
Ooh. Nick, can you, real quick for her, please, so we could cheers. We rinse that out. Keith, hand that glass to her. And am I good sound-wise? Because I feel like I'm, yeah, when I go this far, I'm shipping out. Okay. And then
Love these mics.
Huh? These mics are really cute.
Yes.
They are.
This is how you know you're like a podcast audio geek. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like these.
I want to make love to the mic.
What kind of mics you got?
I have Audio Technica mics.
Oh. These go with this Rodecaster, so they
I
are
know.
really great. And then we listen to our sound effects. So we got some new ones on here.
Okay.
That's the beat.
Love that.
Yes, honey. That's what I'm supposed to send to you.
I want that for myself. Yeah.
Don't do anything for them.
You got that one?
unless
All the
they
Caucasians to the back.
overpay you.
But I need
My favorite.
immediately. Let me make sure that. Okay. All the Caucasians to the back. Immediately. Y'all can see us? Okay,
Okay,
so
awesome.
before we get started, I don't know how many people are out there on Broad Street, but just a reminder. All the Caucasians to the back.
Period.
Immediately. Okay. So black folks move up to the front, queer folks move up to the front because this is our night. So welcome to Black Matter Podcast, everybody, live streaming. Yes, honey. And you know, she's a riggedy raggedy podcast. So shout out to the girls who have been following me since season 1. Because season 1 was, you know, a hot ass mess because I was learning as I go. It was
That's the beauty, but there's beauty. Even my
there
podcast, I listened back and like the growth. I had no intro. I was winging it.
Oh.
So the growth is amazing.
The growth is amazing because
Yes.
now she has, you know, equipment and a sound effect. So these are reparations purchases.
Clearly. I walked in and all I heard was ka-ching.
Yes, because you know, some folks are making due on the debt that is owed. And I think it's very important. You know, shout out to InLight for making this possible.
Yes.
But I think it's important for these art institutions to not just support black artists for their one-off, you know, weekend programs. It's important to think about how can you use your platform, your privilege, your caucasity, your institutional access, the key that you have to the gates to make sure that black artists who you hire for your gigs and for your one-off events are set when they leave, right? Can I
And
get a hand of
that's
applause
on
for that?
period.
So if I needed some new microphones and y'all want to come, you know, have me do a gig, in addition to my honorarium, now my podcast, what we need next, Keys? We got microphones, we got the Rodecaster. What else do we need? We need a webcam.
And a
We need a
green
what?
screen.
We need a media bag. We need a webcam because, you know, I carried all this here under my brassiere when I got here. So I need a media bag. How much are media bags?
They're like anything. They're subjective. It's like what?
No, girl. The white,
mean,
the white
the
people are
one-
watching. How much are they?
I was gonna say 800.
And speaking of that, this button is a little too tight. Let me take this down.
You need help, baby?
I got it. Shout out to
Thank you.
Let me take this button down though. So Sasha made my Sasha Williams is on the Everyday Black Matter film crew, and she made my dope ass jumpsuit that I'm wearing
So
tonight.
cute.
Yes, and then Kenya Renee did my hair, which is under
Yes.
the do-rag that Nancy made. Yeah, if you can cue up the jumpsuit, I can show it to people too. But so I'm wearing a Black Matter jumpsuit, right? I am super excited about this outfit because we're getting some Black Matter apparel. We've got also our beakers.
Super cute.
Yes, honey. So super
And can I
cute.
just say, I'm gonna go ahead and like sell the merch. It's making his ass look amazing. I mean, I said, okay, Toots.
Making that ass twerk, right?
Period.
You know, I told Anjali I wasn't gonna play City Girls, and I just played City Girls. But you know what, City Girls.
But you know what? She know I'm here, so that's what happened.
But yes, tonight is about Black joy.
Yes.
And about holding space for, you know, what happens when we come into a space together, being our full selves, seeing our full selves, loving on our full selves, and recognizing that, you know, Black life also needs to be celebrated for the joy and the pleasure and the love that happens when we just get together and kiki.
I agree.
And so I definitely, for this episode, wanted to bring together one of my favorite Richmonders,
Oh my God.
my Black woman crush, Mrs.
Ooh.
Chelsea LeMore, y'all.
Yes, thank you
honey.
so much. I am loving for all of these hotkeys. I'm
Yes,
just
but
saying.
you know me, I'm gonna start messing them up. But yes, I'm glad that host of Single in the City podcast
Yes.
is here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, you are totally welcome. And you know, you're kind of closing out the 5 episodes that we did for InLight, and so again, to folks that are watching, if this is your first time getting acclimated into Black Matter and learning about who we are and what the point of tonight's program is, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. but I want to make sure that I shout out all the other artists who have been a part of this podcast series. So we started out with Armand Towns, who is my colleague, who helped kind of set the framework for what con artistry is and thinking about fugitivity and the art of deception and scamming, and Black people who have always looked at the system and said, those rules are stacked against me, so I'm going to do some other shit.
Period.
And I'm going to get what I need to get. And so he helped me kind of create this Black-ass theory, and we had a really cute conversation on episode 4, I believe. And then we had Aurora Higgs last night, whose Cash App we got wrong, because, we're doing this media stuff. Please queue up Aurora's correct Cash App. So if you know Aurora Higgs, you definitely need to send her some money. She is a dope Black woman out here who is doing it and who is teaching the girls what they need to know and working in burlesque and also the academy. So disrupting both spaces as well. And so I want to make sure that we show her some love as well. And then we had Dr. T on our episode last night. Dr. T is the tea, honey, who also helped us, really think about transcendence and exploration and just like Black love and, working in these institutions, but also recognizing like, I'm above it.
Okay.
I'm above it all.
I rise above.
Okay. And who else am I missing? We had Aurora, we had Dr. T. Rebecca Keel was on our last episode. Shout out to them. Send Rebecca Keel some coin.
And thank you to the random person that sent me some coins yesterday. My Cash App started to jump. I said, whoa.
Because Rebecca Keel is doing the work, right? Right. Is there anyone else? I think I got it. So those are the InLight specific podcast episodes. And then also subscribe to Black Matter Podcast, because I've been doing this podcast for a little while now. Started out as part of my dissertation project, just feeling like, I don't want to be a stuffy academic. I want to make sure that my work is accessible. And we all know that my grandma is not going to read my dissertation. I love you, grandma, but I know she ain't going to read that 200-page document. So I wanted to make something that is more accessible to the folks that I love and the folks that I'm honoring in my work. And then Mrs. Chelsea LeMore is kind of closing out our InLight series. So you were the opening act on season 2, and now you're closing our program.
I'm the grande dame.
Yes, you really are. So I'm glad that you're here.
I'm so glad to be
looking
here.
fabulous.
Thank you.
Are you wearing anything Black owned tonight?
My shoes are Black owned.
Yes. Shout out to artists.
I don't. I know the ghetto of it all.
Or just what Black businesses are you kicking with right now that you want to shout out?
Some Black businesses, Lost Queens.
Yes.
They do hair, jewelry, lock accessories. There's a few different brands that I really, okay. So there is a vodka infused tequila that is Black owned and it's based out of Virginia Beach. It's called Vodquila. Yes. It's really, really good. And other Black owned businesses. I mean, to be honest, like, I feel like sometimes when people ask me, like, what Black owned business are you supporting? I feel a little bit weird because I'm like, it's almost like somebody asking you, like, what toothpaste do you use? I use it all the time, so I don't even think about it.
All the time. Yeah.
I mean, you do try to. And so, like, I do have a friend, like, every Friday, she makes a point to, like, when she gets paid, to, like, support a Black owned business. Because you do have to be conscious about it. So just trying to, like, incorporate into your lifestyle.
And I want to make sure that I make it clear, too, like, on my show, we're not talking to white people. We're talking to each other. So, like, we support Black businesses, but I ain't trying to teach y'all to support Black businesses. Like, if you're not by now, like, get it together.
Right.
And so a way that you can support us in real time is, because being in these educational spaces, I'm just really over how we constantly theorize ways to support Black women, theorize ways to end racism, theorize ways
I got a way you can you can support Black women.
Right now, right? And so our Cash Apps.
And it doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, wait, no.
No, but I'm going to just say this.
You better bring it back to the Cash App.
I'm going to bring it back to the cash.
Bring it back.
Allow Black women to be Black women and get paid instead of other people pretending to be Black people and like having our persona, our qualities, our lingo, our slang, and they getting the coins and we not. So you can go ahead, and that's one way you can do it.
You talked about this on season 1 is like, stop copying Black women. Yes, very true.
It makes me uncomfortable. It's
especially because you're in media, so I know that like that is a thing. Cite Black women, for sure.
Yeah.
So in the corner of right, Keys, am I right? In the corner of the lower thirds, whatever you call it, our Cash Apps and Venmos are flashing for you, and that's just not for your viewing pleasure, as I've said in all the episodes for InLight. It works. And so folks in the audience that have a little bit of coin, our artistry is not free. Our time is not free. And while we're being supported by InLight to be here tonight, I think it's important to remember that our work and the space that we have been holding as Black people in Richmond and beyond is not just for, these one weekend things, right? Support Black artists now and move your body away from constantly theorizing what reparations looks like, and dig into your Cash App or your Venmo, download Cash App and Venmo, and pay a Black artist who you know, who you don't know, who just is out here that you think is great. Or even if you don't know them, just shoot us a coin. Yeah. So we have our phones up, and we would love to hear from you.
Via Cash App.
Yes. We would love to hear from you via Cash App. And we're going to take a commercial break and let y'all pull up your Cash App and your Venmo. And, I'm recently...
I just heard something.
I know. I just finished grad school. Ciao. I just finished grad school, so, she needs some coin.
Come on.
What do you... what are your dreams right now that you need some coin for?
Growing my business, growing the podcast.
Yes.
And I think it's really important, especially, I don't think people really think about how Black women are marginalized in the media space. Mm-hmm. And so it takes money. Equipment costs money. Promotion costs money. Living costs money. And so all of these things, especially creatives, we give so many things for free. It's an amazing feeling when somebody even sends you $5, $2.
To say that I see you.
I see you. We see each other.
And so, yeah, I think that's a really important point to think about. Like, even us Black women, Black queer folks who are out here doing our dreams, like, the cards are still stacked against us when it comes to getting loans, when it comes to walking into this boardroom and being like, my podcast is worthy as well, support me. We know that, like, we do twice as much work for...
That's a talk you actually get. Like, you get the talk, you get like the racism talk, but then you also, like, early in school, Black people get the talk. Like, you got to be twice as good. You got to get A's just to get where the white students in your class can just ease on by and get by with a handshake and a smile. It's not going to work for you.
Yes. And so we're not doing that no more in 2020. And so speaking of supporting Black women in practice and not theory, we want to cue up a clip from our friend Dr. Anjali Moon, who is going to tell us about the space that we're at tonight, and then we'll take the conversation from there.
Her Flowers is a mural commissioned by Africana as a part of our 5-year multi-day festival. It is designed to give reverence, honor, and respect to Black women across this country whose lives have been taken at the hands of state-sanctioned violence, most specifically via police brutality. These women all lost their lives between the times of 1984 and the present. Some of these names that you'll see are well known. Some you may have never heard of, but all of them were loved and cared for by people. And so we wanted to offer a space of reverence. One of the other things that's really special about the mural for me is the people who actually brought it to life. So I reached out to 8 Black male painters in the area to see if they would intentionally come in and hold space for Black women, because we understand that's part of the conversation and part of the shift that is taking place, is ensuring that more than Black women are giving that level of regard to our lives. And so they, without hesitation, stepped up to make this piece possible. That is Hamilton Glass, S. Ross Brown, Julian Green, Jason Ford, Sir James Thornhill, Amiri Richardson Keys, David Marion, and Silly Genius. And I appreciate all of those brothers for understanding the importance of a piece like this, especially in a time like this. It has been an honor for Africana to be able to create a space of reflection, in reverence, and we hope that people will come and kind of soak in the blessing that is life, at the same time thinking through what has been lost through not only the passing of these women, but the level of fallout that comes from the family and friends and community that these their lives impacted. But then also in us having a system that still allows for the blatant disregard and value of any life, but especially Black life in this country. And so we hope that this mural can hold some level of space for moving us into a stronger and better place.
Okay, so we're back. So thank you, Anjali, for helping us set the space. I think it was important to hear from a Black woman in Richmond who was doing it, to describe also just the importance of how she is holding space to remember Black women whose lives have been lost by the state. And so with my con artistry work, one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight, I think is important to remember and also sometimes re-remember the Black women in our lives who maybe the way that they live their lives or the way that they decide to put food on the table didn't make the news or doesn't make the academic book because it's not seen as respectable, and they're written off because of their choices. And I think it's important to remember, as I remember my mother through this definition, that for some Black women, they look at the ways that the world is, these rules are stacked against us, and these labels of single, angry Black women, or low income, marginalized, etc. Some folks look at that and say, well, if I play by the rules, they're still going to treat me like shit. So I might as well
make my own rules. And
so I want to hold space to honor the names that are on this mural whose stories maybe were not as mainstream because of the ways that they live their life. And looking at how white supremacy is in bed with criminality, and sometimes who gets labeled as a criminal and who gets labeled as entrepreneur, depends on the color of their skin.
Right.
And so I think you were alluding to that a little bit, where you talked about like being a Black woman in media, how you have to have an extra armor.
Yeah, I have to have an extra armor because with my white counterparts, white women, they can talk about their sexuality freely. And it's like, oh, they're just exploring and they're so free and liberated.
And tell us about Single in the City and how, so in season 2, episode 1, we talked a little bit about this, how you were saying like it is important for the work that the space that you cultivate through Single in the City to be, to talk about the Black woman single experience, and that you have found your voice to say like, it is okay that I'm holding space for this exclusive group, and everyone can listen, but this is for Black women.
But this is for Black women.
Yes.
I stand on it, and I love that, because the main thing is, like, I always say, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for my group of friends that we have this conversation regularly. Is like part of the unique experience of being a Black woman and being single and dating is I think that we are the only race of women that walk into a room and question if our own men are attracted to us or if they want us, or if they will take us seriously. So like even tying in like her flowers, I thought it was beautiful and brilliant, and it felt good to me that Black men chose to step up and do this. Like you feel seen. And so just creating a space where Black women can talk about their sexuality, can talk about anything, and you are amongst people that understand. Like this is like a safe space. I know like safe space is cliche, but it truly is a safe space to be who you are and like your rawest form.
Yeah, I mean, I love how unapologetic you are.
My mom doesn't.
And well, shout out to her because she created you. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important because when I heard Anjali's voicemail too, because I love to keep it 100 when you and I kiki.
Yes.
I was also hearing like, yes, Black men helped put this mural together, but just like Rebecca said on the last episode, like it's about time, right? And I think sometimes because of the ways that patriarchy and homophobia is seen as these separate things, Black queer men, Black straight men, non-binary Black folks, and cisgender Black women, we don't always see how similar our experiences are. How sometimes, we are both struggling with being loved by the men in our community. And so I think, yes, it's beautiful that Black men, held space to paint this mural, but what is next?
Right.
And I also think it's important that we not call out, but call Black men in, cisgender Black men in, to really think about like, how can you hold space? I'm learning this as well as I go, but how can you hold space for recognizing Black women and Black women's humanity? And so when we talk about Black Lives Matter, we're also holding space for the Black matter of Black women who have since day one, I feel like I'm going in and out keys a little bit, but since day one have went out and fought racism and then came home and had to fight patriarchy.
Okay, for your Black ass.
And so I'm not trying to erase anybody's experience, but I'm trying to say, like we said on season 1, what did we tell? We said, Black men, we love you, but do better.
Do better.
And as a Black man, I can say that too. Like we need to do better, right? And so,
and I think it's also important.
And for white people listening, close your ears because y'all gonna make this into a stereotype. Oh, there they go. They can't even get their shit together. Well, y'all can't get your shit together either.
I think it's important, even if we're talking about Black people, white people, but in particular Black people, that Black men show up for the Black women and people that you care about, Black men, whatever the case may be, that you aren't attracted to. Like you don't have to be attracted to them.
Be our friends when we're not.
Be our allies. Be our support system. Have our back, even if you're not attracted to us. I think that is a major part of like the experience. Like feeling protected, even though you're not necessarily being sexually desired, because men will present themselves and do what they need to do in that like sexual space. But when it's platonic and when it's just about being a good person, I need you to show up.
And I think as as the conversation expands within Black Lives Matter, we think about, Black,
okay, mood change.
Yes. We think about Black trans women as well. I still think that we're missing a lot of, the conversation is still not focusing on like Black men and like what is the disconnect with us not valuing Black women's lives, Black trans women's lives, and how in these conversations like Her Flowers, we have to find loving ways to call each other in and to have these nuanced conversations about, thinking about Black life outside of the binary that separates us, so the gender binary, et cetera, and really understanding that like we are, in this struggle together, and it looks different for all of our identities, but we have to, hold space for honoring our humanity.
Yes.
So when I talk about Her Flowers and the piece and it being painted predominantly by Black men, I'm wondering like what else it brings up for you, like personally, professionally, and spiritually, as it connects to your everyday Black matter. You saw that little shameless plug, but it's not necessarily like a shameless plug.
Is it shameless?
No, it's not. But because Black Matter is about like holding space for the nuance, the complicated, the queerness, the, as you said, the non-able-bodied, the Black women that you are not attracted to, et cetera. It's about holding space for all, facets of Black identity, which I still think, we have to have more conversations about, the connectivity between Blackness and queerness.
Right, right. So what exactly was the question?
You gonna shade me on my show?
I was just saying, what's the
Chelsea
question?
LeMore, thank you for coming on my show.
What was the question?
No, I was.
You know when you get really engulfed, you're like, oh yeah, and then you add a little extra gravy on the statement. So then I got really caught up in the gravy.
And I want to give some citations. So Chelsea LeMore runs Single in the City podcast, which I was on episode whatever number. Google it, because we're gonna cite that episode because this is where our conversation started. And then Chelsea was on Black Matter podcast. This podcast, season 2, the opener. Look at us with seasons. Cheers to seasons.
Cheers.
We are here.
Okay, Black people with seasons and seasonings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that, we have a little bit of an archive, right? We have an archive together. And I think why I'm interested in talking to you about this mural and con artistry and holding space for, alternative ways of living our Black ass life. I'm just interested in what else is coming up for you spiritually, personally, professionally, when we think about Her Flowers is the title of the mural, when we think about giving Black women their flowers.
Right. Something that I definitely have wanted to I think that the beginning of my show was primarily focused on me. And so I had other guests, but it was kind of like chronicling my dating experience. And so it was almost like a therapy session, like a free therapy session for me. And so then it became this community of women that were like, me too. Like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I felt embarrassed and it felt good to have that space to talk. So looking forward for the show, I really have been conscious about having different types of people on the show. Whether you are, which I've always had LGBTQ community. I've had people that were in all different types of relationships, not just we've had people in polygamous relationships. Non-monogamous. Yeah.
Because as Black people, we be loving monogamy, right? I don't think there are other options.
Seriously, we're really exploring.
There are other options.
That there are other options to feel and receive love and
care, and there are chosen families.
Exactly. And I think that part of it too has been a learning experience for me. So I can't say that at an early age or even in my early 20s, I was exposed to experiencing love that way or seeing others be loved that way. So I want to be able to present it to people and meet them where they are in a fun atmosphere and have the show be more about giving. I consider Single the City in its new season, the 4th season, I would consider it Her Flowers of Single in the City because it's really hyper-focusing on, I've had pretty much, except for one, all women. And all of them have had very different experiences.
Nuances.
And it's just beautiful that even with not necessarily having gone through that same situation, I feel connected. And I think that we need to always feel connected to one another. We don't put enough emphasis of we know of each other, but really looking to figure out how we are connected is really important.
Yeah, I feel like it's great to hold space for the nuanced experiences because it helps kind of fill a lot of gaps, fill knowledge gaps, and also just like it helps the show expand. And I think it's beautiful when we can talk about conversations. I don't want to use the buzzword diversity, but we can have conversations about diversity through Black experiences. And I think that is like the thing that these institutions are constantly missing, because we're constantly seen as like a monolith, and like there's no such thing as the Black experience. It's experiences.
But I also think that's a conversation that Black people need to have as well.
Oh no, on this show that is Black Matter.
Oh, we gonna call out the white folks.
Yeah, no. Opposite.
Okay.
We talking to Black people.
Okay.
White folks can listen, can send cash apps, but like I'm not positioning this show or our conversation to like educate them. Like y'all can do what you do.
I had a conversation with a family member just last week.
Yeah, because it'd be us that we need to have conversations with.
It'd be us, okay? And
that could be a sound effect. It'd be us.
It'd be us.
Hit it. It'd be the Black church, Joe.
It'd be the Black church. It'd be your Black brother. It'd be your Black auntie. Like really creating this like
respectability won't save you.
It won't. And like I had this conversation with someone that I truly love, and I just talked about like, you know, buzzword, diversity in their lives. And they said, oh, I consider my life to be an algorithm. And so I expose myself to all of these different things. And so it expands my algorithm. And so I'm Black and my family's Black. So I got that down pat. I said, absolutely not. Because there are more Negroes than our family. And I really learned that when I went to an HBCU.
Oh, come on.
When I went to Virginia State University, that was the first time that like all of the Black people in my public school, and I didn't go to like a school in like the inner city or anything, but all of the Black people were like me. We came from the same socioeconomic background, and they were just like me. And when I went to Virginia State, and I met what a bougie bitch from DC was like, and what the girl
still Black,
and what the girl from Jersey and Brooklyn, and I hadn't even really been exposed to East Africans. I didn't know about the difference between being from Ghana and being from Nigeria, and like the cultures and things like that. And that is when I
Black dimensionality.
I'm just saying,
yes.
That is when I truly learned that being Black is like this huge like diaspora of experiences that you can never master. Like you can never master.
Even us.
You can't master that shit. And so I'm cussing. I'm sorry.
No. Why do you think this is like a rule show? Cuss if you want.
Okay. Ain't no rules to this shit.
No. Cuss if you want. They already paid for the microphones. It's going home with me.
It's going home with us.
Yeah, go ahead. Like, speak as you are. Okay. We don't have to code switch.
Sophisticated ratchet. That's me. Sophisticated ratchet.
This is the Critical Kiki show.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. But yeah, like it was at my experience at Virginia State University, and I think a lot of Black people that I know that went to HBCUs had that same experience of like, wow, like to see like financially privileged Black people.
I mean, I'm from Connecticut, so I always saw the the respectable. And then when I came to the South, saw Black and Jack and Jill Black people.
Oh, I was in Jack and Jill. I was in Jack and I was a Jill.
Wow.
I was in Jack and Jill, but listen to this. I was in Jack and Jill, but my mom was a single parent. My mom like worked really hard and paid extra dues that she probably didn't even really have to expose us to those things. So even in those settings, I didn't feel like I belonged there. So I had this constant exposure of like what it's like, but I never felt like I was part of the experience. I felt like the Black girl who had a single mom that was working and busting her ass to get me there.
And then you were in those spaces.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we were the poor family that grew up in a rich town in Connecticut. So I was exposed to predominantly like rich white families who had all kinds of fucked up issues. But yes, like we follow a lot of respectability rules. Like you need to get a shape up, you need to have your hair a certain way. But we were Caribbean Black people, and so you know that mono minority shit would hit you. Yeah, it'll make you really try to assimilate as a way to survive, and then you're separating yourself from those Black people over there.
Yeah.
But you know, similar to me, like moving to the South and then experiencing like my Caribbeanness, living far away from like Jamaican folks, because I grew up around all Jamaican people in Connecticut. Like it was so different to see like Southern Blackness. Very complicated. Just very different.
Yeah.
And how it's constantly like policed as well. Like how we grade each other of how Black we are based on our different experiences, and not recognizing that like there is a diversity. Or
how educated you are based on the way that you speak and the way that the topics in which you choose to cover.
And with all of that, this is why I like adore having these critical kikis with you, because when I think about Her Flowers and I think about all the Black women in my life who have kind of inspired me to live unapologetically and to express my gender as it forms, and to just be myself, and to also like hold space to just be, right? Like we don't always have to be, speaking professional or whatever. Like sometimes it could be Ratchet is also intellectual.
Okay.
Ghetto until proven fabulous.
Because whether I said it with a certain level of acumen or whether I say it when I curse, both times you knew what the hell I said.
And so when I think about folks who really are out here just living as their most authentic self, especially when it's a Black woman, I often think about the backstory. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that, which we started to talk about on season 1. Like, I don't want to make an assumption that you weren't always this expressive and always this unapologetic and always this disruptive, as we called you in season 1.
And I love that.
I know you love it. And we're fading that to kind of disrespectability. You know what I mean? Like going against what Black women are supposed to do, and you're supposed to wear your hair this way. From I met you, you've been very expressive and just very you, and holding space for other people to come onto the show and let's kiki and cuss, do whatever you want to do, right? I wonder the Black women who have inspired you to do that, and also some of the stories that, like, where you really had to take the reins and say, I love y'all, but I'm going to be me and I'm going to do it over here. And like this show will work. And we started to talk a little bit about that on episode 1.
If I had to say like women that inspired me, I know it sounds...
To live unapologetically.
And there's 2 different realms of that. From the very like structured standpoint, it's Oprah, of course.
I was not expecting that.
Any Black girl in media is going to love Oprah.
Okay.
Because Oprah was the first person that it was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay to like be overweight.
Yes.
It was okay to just be yourself.
And be beautiful. And she's beautiful.
And be rich, okay? And have money.
See the way it worked.
And have money.
No, you're right.
And have money. So, I mean, any Black woman you speak to that is in media, they're going to mention Oprah. That's like the prerequisite. Like, if you don't say Oprah, I'm like,
because for her
don't
time,
trust that bitch.
she was pushing boundaries.
She was pushing boundaries, and there was a level. Like, there's something to be said when you are not just the best Black, but you are the best, period. And so there's no coming for Oprah. So,
and she made cameras that make Black skin look good.
Come on.
She did. I mean, what's the name of that documentary that everybody needs to watch when it comes to colorism? The Shirley Card, all that. Through a Lens Darkly. If you, folks need to watch that. And Color Adjustment, yes, that's the one that I show in my class where it shows a variation of stories about colorism through film, and then the Insecure article where they talk about it's called Insecure So Lit, and where they talk about how they had to do extra work to light Black people, and it's just crazy how these Negroes, and when I say Negroes I mean these white folks, can go to film school and all the things, still don't know how to film and edit. Black people. Yeah. Shout out to my 40 under 40 photos.
Get out my face. Cut the tape. Cut the tape.
In real time, they still don't know what they're doing. And so I think it's important to recognize that, like, yes, when Black folks make it into these spaces, like the extra work, the camera, like finding a cameraman that can light you and edit you correctly, like putting your complexion and my complexion on the screen together. It's like, you don't know how to do that, and you went to all these schools. So I think, like, you're right. Like, Oprah really was, in her own way, kind of
a pioneer.
Yes.
And I also think that, like, Oprah, I feel like she talks about it, but she doesn't talk about it enough. I think because in the earlier times of like media, there was this level of like, you have to like the respectability politics, but
straight
now
hair.
It's all about like being relatable. And so one thing that I do wish Oprah would have like pushed a little bit harder is that Oprah is a Black woman from the South that went to a HBCU. Like, this is what we produce, right? And so that is another reason that Oprah inspires me. It's like no different than like people like Kamala Harris, like to say, because for so long people will question your education from HBCU. So when the best and the Madam Vice President come from the same stock, it's like, don't question me, question Kamala. Okay?
Period.
She
had the Caucasian.
So Oprah is huge for me, and she's going through her time. But Wendy Williams.
She's going through her time.
She's going through her time. But the reason I say Wendy Williams is because she is one of the few that successfully transitioned from terrestrial radio into television. And she's killing it. And
I'm dreaming for you, but I'm sure you're dreaming for yourself as well. I see you like,
I see me too.
I see you on that level. Like, let's just take it, let's dream for a little bit. We're going to hit Johannes' beat and dream for a little bit. And, I really see you, Breakfast Club, your own show. Like, I think you have that huge personality that like can really, be a Wendy Williams type Kiki.
Thank you.
So I want to like hold that space and ask you, like, as we talk about her flowers and we talk about honoring Black women's lives, both who are here and gone, and the impact of Black women on our everyday lives, I want to know, like, what are you dreaming about? And it doesn't have to be about, you know, something that like a 5-year plan or tying it to a, Caitlin and I are raising money to, it doesn't need to be about that. It's just children. Like, Chelsea, getting to the space where you've been, I know it takes a lot of work for all of us as Black folks to just live unapologetically. Like, what are the dreams that you, like, you know, are really thinking about, especially in this year where so much shit is burning down?
What I am really dreaming about is that Black people continue to speak up even when white people tell you, like, I think right now a lot of Black people are speaking up because white people told you it's okay to speak up now. Right? Like, we're in a time where it's like, oh, well, we're a company and we believe that Black Lives Matter. And it's like a respectable thing to say, like, you have the permission to speak now. And I really want to. Like
this year, because of all the civil unrest, you see, like, there's more companies like, oh, well, come and talk to us. But I tried to talk to your ass 3 years ago. Like, you know, I tried to talk to you 3 years ago. And it's like, and now we're recognizing,
and like, now we're recognizing
the City Girls and the Cardi B's. Now we're recognizing them as human. And it's like, but you know, like Little Kim, Foxy Brown, like these women have always been saying, like,
but you my sex. Hoochie mama.
Thank you.
But you wouldn't let me buy their CD.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to just like talk about pop culture, but I do want to make sure that, like, it's important how these women have always been saying, like, my sexuality matters. I can be unapologetic. I can do exactly what the men are doing and still make money because people want to hear it. Yeah. And I do think that there is something happening in the past, like, couple of years where, like, finally Black folks we are seeing the humanity and folks that don't show up in these, like, respectable ways. And I was talking to Rebecca about this earlier, like, I really want to hold space for the names that are behind us, that are on this mural, who were living alternative lives, right? And centering their joy.
Well, one thing that that you may not know is that I've been helping Anjali with, like, the online campaign for her flowers. So part of, like, the work I've been doing for her is, like, really, like, delving into these women's lives and creating not just a bio of what happened to them, but, like, their lives that they had before that. And so, like, I found myself, I was like, look, I got to check out from this work because it was, like, so emotionally draining because there's all, like, literally every last woman that is on that board, on that artwork, is someone that in some way it relates and ties back to me. Whether it's Pearly Golden.
Know no stranger.
Right. Whether it's Pearly Golden, who was 93 years old. And I'm like, yo, I can just imagine, like, my great auntie or whoever it is, or if it's Breonna Taylor. She was us. Like, I look at pictures of her, like, going to brunch. She was kikiing just like us.
So true.
And there's a young lady by the name of Maya Hall, who was a transgender woman. And so she was actually in sex work as well. And so when I'm reading some of the articles about, like, these women, and I'm like, you know, it's actually the caucasity. You can go ahead and hit it.
Oh, wait. Don't worry. We got power editing.
Okay. It's all right. It's
okay.
The caucasity. The caucasity, to even mention these things, because how is it even relevant to, that has no reason and no explanation as to why she's not here now. I don't give a fuck what she did. Like, sex work, whether she was transgender, it doesn't matter. All of these things do not justify that she's gone.
Not justify death.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And so, like, that wall represents so many things to me. Miriam Carey was a dental hygienist who just made a wrong turn at a White House checkpoint on her way home. I mean, shit, I make wrong turns all the time.
I mean, Sandra Bland got pulled over unlawfully.
Yeah, and so,
I mean, fuck the law, but you know what I mean.
Period.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, on so many levels, you see yourself presented in all of these women. And it felt good to give them a space of reverence, because I think a lot of Black women have felt, just like you said, like, we're the first ones busting down the front door in the middle of a pandemic to go stand up for Black men, to make sure you don't forget his name and who he was and who his kids were. But we were mothers too. We're somebody's daughter, you know? And so, like, to hold space for Black women to feel valued, because so many ways that we turn, we feel devalued for being who we are, and other people are celebrated for taking those attributes from us.
And when we think about con artistry and, like, you know, recognizing folks who engage in, you know, alternative world creation and deception and scamming and fugitivity, I do think that it's important to also hold space for how those stories fill knowledge gaps. As Black folks, as as men, like we have these assumptions about what sex work is, or what dancing is, or what, you know, doing an alternative 9 to 5 is, right? And I think these stories help let you know that they were human.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of, it's funny you said that because I know you told Anjali you weren't going to mention the City Girls. But speaking of con artistry,
it is intellectual. It is. And it's also just holding space for unapologetic blackness.
Well, the City Girls released like this like YouTube documentary.
I know, and okay, let's get into it.
Yes,
this just be a pop culture episode, and you know,
because it relates,
and I love the love that we're having.
Black culture is popular culture,
and because y'all thought that we might have forgot y'all, but I got it. My ADHD. Whoa. Wait, I get it because
maybe you did.
Wait. Keys is still. Why is it not going to bank 2? There ain't no button, but let's get this straight. Y'all, while we're taking this little break, send us a Venmo for $5 for the anxiety that this is causing. I want to go from bank 1 to 2 to 3 like usual, because we can't let them forget about the button that we created.
Johnson.
Who is that? What'd you say?
Jatavia Johnson.
Oh, I do want to talk about that City Girls documentary for sure.
She made it very interesting.
Because we're going to talk about some kind of... I think I know what point that you're going to go into. That's why I want to hit it.
That's why I love you.
I love you too. Cheers.
Clink, 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 clink.
Do you have enough wine?
I do.
We got a little bit more time. I think we're doing good. I'm really glad that you came to the finale. Also, why are you so dressed up? You know I ain't nobody.
I went to an engagement party.
Oh, okay.
I went to an engagement
you look
party.
really nice for this riggedy diggity show.
This is not a riggedy diggity show. Let me tell you. I'm feeling like a rich white woman.
Yes. You look fab.
Thank you.
You look fabulous.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know
it's the Bay Gangs. The Bang Gangs.
Say it a little louder.
It's the Bang Gangs. I've been acting like a brand new bitch since I got these.
Shout out to your mom because she's a hairstylist.
Well, shout out to actually Carmen D. Hair by Carmen D.
Yes. Hair by Kenya Renee, because Kenya did my braids on here. You know what?
My mom's a hairstylist, but she like, look, girl, I ain't doing all this weaving stuff right now. You're like, you go to do it for me. But shout out to Hair by Carmen D. She got me right.
So what's happening? You can't change it if it's plain.
Got it. Okay, so we can go to bank 2. Because you had made a few points, but you really had called out the Caucasian, so I wanted to make sure we had... She had the caucasity. And we got that one, and we got... No, we got... Okay, I'm just letting you know what we got.
I just can't help myself.
That's it. So what we were talking about earlier. All the Caucasians to the back. Immediately. Okay. City Girls documentary. Let's go.
The City Girls documentary, Jatavia Johnson.
Yes.
Who I believe is my friend in my head.
Come on, JT.
JT. She's in the car and they were asking her about like, she went to prison for like wire fraud and like basically scamming, right?
Great segue into con artistry.
Yes. And they asked her like, do you feel bad for what you did? And she was like, I mean, I did do it, but I don't know if I feel bad. And so a lot
the
of
law
people,
is tied to racism.
Yeah, but also she's like, I mean, I was working an honest job. I worked at Burger King, but I was only bringing home $200 a week. So I see that my family is going without. I see that everybody, there's all this wealth around me that I don't have access to. I did what the fuck I wanted to do, what I had to do.
Period. Because
you're flaunting all this wealth and access around me, but I don't have access to it. And I worked hard, and it's not getting me where I want to go.
Nope.
So,
I'm a
scam.
Con artistry, a theory.
And I felt that. I felt not that I'm a scammer in that sense, but I felt that. I felt that like complexity of like the look on her face where she was like, I don't know if I feel bad. Like, I don't know if I did the wrong thing. Like, did I do the wrong thing? Or did this country do me wrong?
No, period.
To put me in this situation.
Period.
To put my family in this situation. Because it isn't just me. You have to really think, like, it isn't just the person that's doing the con artistry. How did they get in that situation?
And I think when you look at criminality and the overpopulation of black bodies in the prison system, you have to think about, like, how did they get into that situation? How our constant conditioning and reduction of just, like, our life is reduced to our survival. And we don't get to experience the things that we also deserve, even though we built the things that they are benefiting from. I think, you know, it begs the question of like, who is a criminal and who isn't in a white supremacist society. And so when you think about, you know, black women who engage in scamming and get in a bag and all that stuff, I don't think that you can just write off these actions because you cannot tie it from the relationship to white supremacy and the relationship to those who deal with white supremacy and also patriarchy. So if you are getting treated in a certain way at work and then you're coming home, okay, and being, you know, being disrespected, I think it's important to provide some more humanity, and that's why I think con artistry is such a great conversation starter for the work that we're talking about right now, what we're talking about, because it's not just this academic term, and we're not just talking about this this utopia when we say that there are Black folks who are living unapologetically and who are, you know, creating alternative paths for themselves and still coming home and saying like, this is a lot more Bitcoin than Burger King, right? It's not a utopia because there are folks who are doing it, and the institution, whether it be the school or the art museum, whatever, needs to start citing them. Instead of, you know, bringing us onto panels to talk about our experience. Come on, you know what I'm saying?
For free.
So yes, don't forget our catch ups are in the lower thirds. So did you get the definition of con artistry? I think I sent it to you, but I want to know what is it bringing up for you when we talk about the art of scamming and deception, and, you know, the ways that it's kind of performed and orchestrated by Black people, both in my life and yours. Okay, I know of many. and I'm talking about myself.
I think that con artistry comes in like so many ways, and if you think about like the Black experience, I think like very early on, depending on the household, con artistry is taught from a very young age with fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it is the biggest con ever. Like, what the fuck? Fake it till you make it. So basically, do what you got to do to look the part so that others believe that you are, and then you may become that.
Yeah, because we have to show up in these institutions where we know that we're being treated poorly. And sometimes you have to pick your battles when you know that they just fucked with you.
Exactly. So, I mean,
I'm dealing with that right now.
It's the earliest lesson in a lot of African-American households is fake it till you make it. And that's like the root of con artistry.
No, that is very, very true. What everyday Black folks is coming up for you when I talk about
don't do anything for them unless they overpay you. Don't do anything for them unless they overpay you.
You know, because it is a essential part of con artistry to move it from a theory and a cute kiki conversation on a podcast to an everyday practice. And I think, you know, the quote, we have played it on all the episodes. It's in our film, Everyday Black Matter, which the link is in my Instagram, and it's on Africana Film Festival platform right now. The don't do anything for them unless they overpay you. It's not a quote that's just about racism. It's intersectional because as a Black queer man, like my body is intersectional. There's a myriad of ways the system is fucking with me, and you as well, as we're gonna talk about. So don't do anything for them unless they overpay you is really about, for me, recognizing your worth before you show up into these institutions, so that you are, you know, not doing anything for them unless you are getting your worth and more. Because
the first step to that is like, I feel like we don't recognize our worth. We got to know it before we can even demand it.
And when I talk about Black joy, it's not just about happiness and flowers. It's
about
also
being able to pay my bills. About myself something nice.
And recuperating the ways that we have been treated like shit by these spaces, and coming in and saying like, you're not only going to support my podcast, but you're going to bring on some other Black women because of the ways that y'all been fucking with us for the past
it's the strong fingers for me.
100 years.
It's the strong fingers.
I have a lot of anger and rage from the bullshit
it's coming
that
out of your fingers.
Yes. And you know, with Everyday Black Matter, I channeled a lot of rage and anger that I have for just what we're seeing in 2020, because I think it's important to create from a place of like, y'all been fucking with me, and this art is about to just let it all out. So when we talk about,
it feels very much like Bad Girls Club.
Yeah,
y'all ain't getting no sleep. I ain't getting no sleep because of y'all.
Yep.
You ain't getting sleep because of me.
No, period.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about that in a second, actually. So when we talk about that quote, and you had said a little bit of it, but like now that we're talking about con artistry, and you're seeing that it's tied to, you're seeing that the bitch has, you know, definitions and stuff.
Yes,
I'm going forward with this.
You do, okay.
Yes.
Black academic.
Black academic. Yes. So what is it? What's it bringing up for you? Who you not doing nothing for unless they overpay you is the real question that I'm asking.
Who am I not doing anything for unless they overpay me? I am not doing anything. To be honest, it is just fair across the board.
Yes.
Like, in particular, I guess you could say white people and white institutions. But honestly, like, that's why I put an emphasis on, like, recognizing, right? So I think so many times, like, as creatives, and honestly, as just, like, any type of professional, I guess you could say, you work really, really hard. So you're working, and you're, like, working to attain this level where you can say, I am this, and this is what I deserve. But sometimes we don't take that moment to say, like, hold up. I've been grinding, and this grind that I have right here is worth something. Whether I've reached the pinnacle that I want, my expertise is still worth something, and I need to know what that's worth. And so that is like something that it resonated with my spirit when I heard don't
Spirit.
Because like, even as like a professional, like I have undersold myself, feeling like, well, they won't pay me this or they won't pay me that.
We always have to have that internal talk of like, ooh, if I ask for this.
Okay, well, if they pay so-and-so this, I know they're not going to pay me that. Fuck that. This is my rate. Where should I send the invoice? That's my favorite saying. So where should I send the invoice? And so like really realizing, one, that I'm going to do it and I'm going to stand firm on it and I believe it and I know that I'm worth it. And that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of like, there's this like weird twist of like, when you think of like a con artist or con artistry, you're like, oh, well, they don't deserve that. But in their mind, they do. And you deserve to think you deserve what it is that you want. You know what I'm saying? Period.
If we have to deal with the bullshit that is this country, I think it's important
if I think my rate should be $1,000 an hour and you think I'm conning, it's a con artistry type deal, that's your fault, not mine. Because I believe I'm worth it. So that's not conning.
You've been doing the work.
You just feel like you ain't got it. Because there's somebody that has the rate and they say, well, damn, that's a steal. Period.
If you were, because you are just such a pop culture.
Oh my God.
Pop culture black academic. If you were on Real Housewives of Atlanta, what would be your tagline?
I love me some Real Housewives.
Because we are celebrating life tonight.
You know,
so I want to talk about the things that
this is like really
happy.
weird. I have this like fantasy in my head. Like one of my dreams is to be the first lesbian housewife. I don't understand why there hasn't been one.
Because Andy Cohen.
Once again, I don't understand.
Andy Cohen is not intersectionally thinking.
True. So if I had to have a Real Housewives tag, it was
Come on.
Oh my God, you put me on the spot.
I'm gonna have to give you a little beat behind it.
Okay.
I feel like it would just be pussy talk.
I used to be single in the city, but now I'm married in the burbs. Don't try me, bitch.
What is it like living in the burbs, being as expressive as you are? Because you were talking earlier about, we had said something about like, not being seen. And I've said this before on the podcast, but like, I feel like ever since I got a puppy, all of a sudden white people have been talking to me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, you need to back off.
Oh my God. She's laughing. She's laughing.
Like, we're still not friends.
Okay, so.
As a matter of fact, it's crazy what you can teach your dog to do with a trick.
Before I moved to the ultra burbs of like, now we don't even really see people for real. We lived in Short Pump. And so we used to go to the park all the time. So when we used to go before we had a dog, and like we would just walk, nobody say anything. And we get this damn dog, and all the white people literally will speak to the dog.
Yeah, they don't. And that is so true.
Will speak to the dog. How are you, sweetie? And I'm like, here.
But you got your, when I have my do-rag on and my basketball shorts or wherever, I'm wearing pajamas when I'm walking him in the early morning, they be like talking to him. And I'm like, you are still racist.
Exactly. And like, you don't recognize, like, I'm a whole fucking person. The dog isn't walking me.
Yes.
I'm walking the dog.
Period.
And so.
Shout out to Caesar Malone who taught me that.
Right. I'm just like, yo, it's so crazy that you mentioned that, because it is. And like, there's like, once again, like these like really weird ways, like small ways that you realize like even people's purest intentions.
And that shit is fucked up.
Shit's fucked up. And like, my whole thing is like, I'm a bossy bitch, low key, right? Like, I'm like, I hate when people say like, well, don't make everything black and white. Bitch, it is.
Everything is about race.
Everything's about race, and everything's black and white.
Everything
so like,
is about
even
race.
when I'm leaving the parking lot and white people walk in front of the car without even looking to the left or the right, they just own the damn street.
They're called Cassidy.
They're called Cassidy. The unmitigated gall. Like those little social norms that they don't even realize that they do. Or, just blows me.
But in 2020, I feel like this has been the year where a lot of us have been like, look, bitch, it ends now.
Oh,
It
yes.
stops
Oh, yes.
now.
Yes.
No, it is
stops
so,
now.
So true. I was, I have been experiencing that because I live in Jackson Ward. So I know all the white people that live, there's only a few of them. And yes, I have been experiencing just this difference in the social dynamic now that I have a dog. People have just been like kind of talking to me. And even in some of them, I'm just like, please don't say good morning. Like, leave me alone.
I can
leave me and my dog alone.
If you use the dog, like sometimes people need something to like create a common ground to even engage the conversation. But when that's happening because they mention the dog, but then they also speak to you. Motherfuckers will literally speak to the dog and go on about their business. Like, it's just crazy. It's
crazy. It's crazy. This has been very fun.
I know.
I loved bringing you on.
I just don't want it to end.
I'm so glad that you came on
Thank you so much for
my
having me.
InLight episode. And before we wrap, I want you to tell, in the last 5 minutes we got, tell us what you're working on, how people can support you. So your Cash App is in the back.
Yes.
And you are also on episode 1. I'll remind y'all, episode 1 of Black Matter season 2. Mm-hmm. You're the opener. So check out our episode there. But I wanted to bring you back because I just think that you are on this journey of just being like unapologetically you.
Thank you.
And I think in doing that, when Black women, find themselves in ways where you can just express and be, right? I think it definitely is an energy that permeates onto other people.
Thank you so much.
And so I'm very interested in just like continuing to be in community with you, to learn from you, to kiki with you.
I told you we're friends in real life now. Like, stop it.
Oh, no, we are. And you're going to be in the next film, right?
Oh my God. Yes, because I told you I felt some type of way that I wasn't in the film, even though I didn't know you at the time. The first film, Don't Touch My Hair.
No,
I was like, how is somebody going to come in Richmond talking about hair and I ain't in it? Mm-hmm. I was in my feelings. And then I was like, oh, I don't know him. That would probably have something to do with it.
So tell us, what is the tea now with Chelsea? Like, what are you working on?
I'm continuing to grow the podcast.
Single in the City.
Yes. We are going to be incorporating visuals to the podcast, which is going to be an exciting
Even though you're not single in the city. I mean, I still want to give you a little bit of shade. But you know what?
It's so funny because even before I got married, before I met my wife, people said, well, what are you going to do when you get married? I'm like, first of all, you act like people don't fuck up and then end up single again.
But you still got the stories from being single.
You have the stories from being single, as well as like single. There's always a part of like who I am, like single Chelsea, that I'm always going to carry with me. That's something I learned when I was single. I learned
your individuality.
My individuality, and like that is still going to go with me even though I'm married. And so
even though your wife is right behind us.
Look,
she's like, hurry up, we need to go home and watch Lifetime. We have cookies to bake.
Look, we're turning into them old people. Lately, our little thing has been going to Rosie's.
What is Rosie's?
The little gaming emporium place with the slot machines. We have like really turned it like between quarantine. We got married right before the pandemic started. Yeah, we gamble low key.
Oh, cute.
But we go in there with like a $25 budget. Like we just literally go just to go. But whether I was gonna be married or not, I felt like just because I am not single doesn't mean that the experience does not matter anymore and that there aren't more stories to be told. And like, I just imagine the show growing to the point where one day I'm not going to be the host anymore. I'm going to have some young, fine thing hosting the show.
I'm speaking, you have some interns, some staff.
Yeah.
Mrs. Chelsea, I was wondering if this is the right Instagram
I'm being
post.
completely honest with you. Single and this, I am, this is something that I've like literally been manifesting. I am a multi-million-dollar woman with a multi-million-dollar idea.
Yes.
Single in the City is more than a podcast.
Yes.
It's a TV show. It's a cookbook. It's everything. And like, whether you're single or not, I think that no matter if you get married, if you're in a relationship, there's always that that person deep down, and you're like, it was fun. I just want to relive it for a moment. And that's what Single in the City is.
And I think, just to take it more like metaphorically and think about this importance of holding space, I think that Single in the City, whether you're single or not as the host, I think that you still are cultivating a space for Black folks to come on and just be.
Absolutely.
To just shoot the shit.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no script, no code switching.
No.
Just come and kiki. No. And I think that like right now in 2020, we're like, all these white people are trying to figure out like, oh my God, I didn't know that the world was this racist. Like, I think we really need to kind of like, get our purse, get our cup of tea, and like go to your house and kiki and just like hold space for, being in community with each other. So I think you are definitely doing that. I mean, I ain't trying to give you all the flowers because, you might, now you're going to leave here thinking that you miss Wendy Williams, but you did really inspire me to create a podcast because I came on, I was like, she's saying bitch and hoe and we was drinking and doing 7-Eleven runs. We was, just kikiing. Yes. And I was like, I think
being yourself. Like,
yes. There's not enough spaces for us to just do that.
I know we only have like 4 minutes left, but I really want to stress. I really want to stress.
Cash App us.
Cash App me. Seriously, Cash App us. But I really want to stress that, like you said earlier, you didn't know if I was always this person, and I wasn't. I literally became this person, I would say 3 years ago. And I always
what was the moment that you were like, you know what? No more, watering myself down.
The moment that I realized...
We got 5 minutes.
The moment that changed for me was when I realized I was about to marry somebody I didn't even want to marry.
Ooh, Thank God you found a City Girls album. Hope you got a bag out of it.
I was about to marry someone that even when they proposed, I was kind of like, oh,
did he at least get you a bag? Or they or she?
He was fresh out of jail. Okay, like,
did he scam you a bag?
No, he won't going back. He's one of those. I'm not going back. But I was about to marry someone that I knew in my heart that wasn't really what I wanted. And the moment like I always say this type of bitch, I was the straight hair side part girl.
Oh God. Well, I was a shape up in waves kind of with the brush in the book bag.
Exactly. But the moment
just trying to have male friends.
Oh God. I was the straight hair side part girl. And the moment
God.
that I realized
I wore loafers.
Like, my happiness is probably somewhere on the other side of not trying to please my mom.
Oh Jesus.
My mom. And like so I was like, I don't know what I didn't know what it looked like. But I was like, like I want to say what I want to say. I want to be who I want to be.
Period.
And I don't know if there was an exact moment for real, but it just became like I became comfortable in myself. Like if you would ask anyone that I went to Virginia State with, they don't recognize me.
And so what is your message to other Black women, Black queer folks, Black men as well, who, whether we talk about it openly or not, are still kind of struggling with like making that trend, as Dr. T talked about last night, that transcendence of coming into yourself, coming into your identity, playing with gender. Like, what is your advice to folks that are still, I don't want to use the metaphor of like, how do you talk to kids about in the closet? Because we're not doing that. It gets better, right? Like 2020 is proving that like they're still fucked up.
It's still the ghetto.
It's still the ghetto. So I do want to know, like, what is your advice, especially to your podcast listeners, like the women who are like, I don't want to water myself down to get a man or to get a partner. I want to be as loud as I am, be as unapologetic as I am, wear my hair however the fuck I want to wear it. Like, what's your advice to those folks?
It's two things. It's realizing.
My advice is break up with him right now because it's probably a nigga that's holding you back.
Period. I think that's my show. Period.
You gonna stop adding sound? Keep those on your show.
But it's so relevant.
Because if you're Oprah, I'm Gail. I just want some of the money.
Yes.
Can I come over for the weekend?
My best friend always says, I'm Gail. I'm riding the coattails to the top, bitch.
My dream, you talked about being the first, what did you say, being the first lesbian?
On Real Housewives.
My dream is to be, I know we're over time, but whatever.
That's what happens when every time I go somewhere, I go over time.
Me too. My dream is to be the first husband, because I don't want to be the president. I don't want to deal with all that bullshit, because it's still very white and it's all fake politician bullshit. Fuck them. Like, I'm Kamala, I'm proud of you, but it's still like, girl.
Yeah.
I just want to be the first husband because I think I'd be very cute. All I want to do,
I'll be very
listen.
cute.
Now I know that I'm Dr. Chaz and I have the accolades, but listen, all I want to do is step off the plane and just.
Ooh, and child, when that wind
I think I would when the wind hits, I would have a long weave and heels. I just want to, my dream, my Black boy joy dream is to just walk off that plane and be the first husband. And my husband is doing all the other shit. You know what I'm saying? And my platform would just be, of course, like education, and we would do art. I would show up at all the beautiful art institutions. I would just steal all the resources and bring it to the hood. My grandma would get a cooking show. Yes. Like, I would do it. But I just think I would be fab in the looks, right? So
nasty look.
So, and it's a little shady. So while you're on Housewives, I'll be the first.
Come on, husband. It's okay. You can have a friend of the show cameo.
You can come to the Christmas party.
Exactly. I'm bringing the camera crew.
But so yes, let's wrap up with the advice that you give to folks who are still coming into themselves, because I do think that you are such a beacon of light in Richmond about expressing yourself and being who you are and loving who you are as you show up.
The main thing that I learned is I don't have to explain myself to anybody.
Period.
Like that. Once you realize, like, why the hell am I explaining myself? I don't have to explain. Like, my existence is like a solo experience. I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I don't have to explain why I said what I said the way I said. I don't have to explain why I did that. I don't have to explain why I have a wife and not a husband. I don't have to explain anything.
Yes, period.
Literally. I don't have to explain anything. Girl, you don't either. Boy, you don't either. Sis, bro, you don't have to.
So tell the people that's listening how they can follow you. Get in touch with you.
You can follow me at starring_Chelsea on Instagram. And I feel like I have to say this because people can't spell sometimes. It's 2 R's in starring. So starring _ they put star
the
Chelsea.
Shade.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm going to help people out. Starring_Chelsea. You can follow my podcast at Single in the City Podcast. And my Cash App is in the lower left corner. So thank you so much, Chaz, for that platform. And thank you for the random Cash Apps that I got. Like, yo, I was lit.
Wow, you got some Cash Apps.
Yes, I was doing my show last night. And my Cash App was going off. Yes, thank you. Like, seriously, it works.
Okay, so give me $5 for the booking fee.
Will do.
So we're gonna close out with the Con Artistry beat that Johannes West Taylor and I put together. And did you get to hear the beat before? If you didn't hear it the first time, so here we go. Love y'all. It's got those vibes, huh? Can they still hear us?
Oh, come on, babe.
Yes. We add that reggae bass in. Is the camera on still? Is the camera still on? Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This was InLight 2020. Thank you so much and letting us be here. Love y'all. It's
Love
good,
it.
right?
Yes.